Five, four, three, two, one.
International superstar, Miss Butter B.
You are now tuned in to Butter B Rocker on Transparency Talks Podcast. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Transparency Talks Podcast. I am your girl, Butterby Rocker. Listen, we have an amazing show for you today. But before I bring on my guests, if you are an independent recording artist and would like to have your songs debuted on my stations, I'm on 6 international stations. I'm in London, Italy, Japan, South Africa, Nigeria, Canada. I'm on iHeartRadio and a plethora of other places. I'm into indie artists. I'm an indie artist. I like to support other indie artists. So if you would like to have your songs debuted, make sure you hit me up at info at O Robinson PR Media Group. Again, that's info at O Robinson PR Media Group, and we will talk soon. So without further ado, I would like to bring on the original, and I didn't say imitation, the original Business Sherpa Tristan Wright. How you doing, Tristan?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you for being a part of the show. I'm super excited to talk to you. So I like to dive right on in. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Let's do it. So where shall I start? Do I start when I was like 1 or 2 or my adult life?
Let's start with your name.
My name's
Tristan.
Yeah, so Tristan Wright. I run a company called Evolve to Grow, but that's what I'm doing now. My background, I studied engineering at uni for a little bit and engineering industrial design and got into that space, but I didn't really love it. So I was just doing it because I thought you needed to have a day job. And I was out riding my bike with my friends one day and they said, "Hey, let's get some clothing, like some team uniforms." And I thought, cool, I'm going to do this myself. It's a bit of a challenge. So I looked at all the different suppliers in Australia and I wasn't happy with any of them. So I thought, okay, let's find a manufacturer over in China, go straight to the source. I did that and ordered clothes for everyone, got them into the country, started wearing them, went for a ride, and the shorts were see-through. So everyone saw that we're out for the ride and could see our bums when riding. It wasn't a good look. But I'd realized that there was a gap in the market. So even though this first go wasn't a success, I can't even talk today. I realized there's a gap in the market for this product and for this service. So running my day job, doing my day job, and I thought, I'm going to start up a business selling custom sportswear. And I did that. I'd come home in the evening, start working my second job at 5:30 p.m. and work from the kitchen table day in, day out. I built that into, I was doing about 300 grand per annum before I went full time into that. Left the day job and built that business up into a 7-figure business. This was all in my early to mid 20s. And when you have success in your 20s, you build up a bit of an ego and you build up arrogance because you haven't failed yet. And you're like, I can do this. Why is everyone else finding it so hard? That was cool for a little bit. But then in the space of 6 months, my wife left me and the Aussie dollar tanked. So all my profit margin disappeared. I probably would have been able to deal okay with just one of those things happening, but 2 of them happening at the same time. I had no idea what to do. So I just stuck my head in the sand and hid basically. And a couple of months later, I realized, I'm in 200 grand of debt. I've got no idea what to do and I've lost my marriage. So yeah, that wasn't a fun time. So the highs and then the lows. And that just burst my bubble. And I'm like, yeah, this is not the way to live life. I've led a charmed life until now. I've got to get over myself and allow allow others to help me and learn from others' mistakes rather than just making my own mistakes and learning from them. So I've got a bit of help and guidance, and fortunately, I was able to rebuild that business and extract myself from the business to a point where I was able to sell it. So had the highs, then went down to the low, being 200 odd grand in debt, and then I rebuilt it and to a point where I wasn't needed in the business and I could sell it. And this all happened by the time I was about 30.
Wow. You just
So
said a whole mouthful. That is a lot. Okay, so we're going to dissect that a little bit. So, if I understand correctly, in your 20s, you created a seven-figure business called Sight Custom Cycling. Where? Did I get it?
correct. And you checked how to pronounce this before backstage and you got it
Yeah,
correct. And then
yeah,
now you got
right. So you found a niche, you found a need that no one was
Yep.
doing, and you created some see-through cycling wear your first go
Yes.
around. And then you learned from that, and then of course, created some cycling wear that was wearable and everybody could uh wear.
Yeah. And it felt comfortable and it wasn't see-through. Yes.
Right.
And once I'd fixed those issues, people came and started buying it.
Wow. So before this, you hadn't have you been in sales before? Because you said you had a background in engineering.
Correct. Yeah. No sales experience, no um, business experience. I went in with the methodology or the idea that let's go straight to the top, find the sell to the biggest, and once the biggest are buying, the people at the level below will buy. So I went to institutes of sports, governing bodies, uh, big corporate companies, and had them purchase a product, and they acted as my influencers. And then from there, uh, other people started buying. And maybe that was naive at the time, but it worked.
You know what? I really want to say that was because you was in your 20s. When you're in
Yeah.
your 20s, you're fearless. You come up with a company and a concept and you're like, I'm going to sell it to everyone. And you did what's not normal. You went directly to the top. That's not a normal, that's a bold piece and move. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
I want to say it's because you was in your 20s. You was just extra fearless. When you're in your 30s and 40s, you tend to be like, I might not need to do that right now. But you just went
Yeah.
for it and became a seven-figure, turned your whole company that was brand new within 6 months into a seven figures. That's
Wasn't 6 months in 7 figures. Got to
okay.
about, yeah, 300K in about that. But yeah, it took about 2 years to get to the 7-figure mark.
Got you.
But
Even 300K is like, oh my God, 6 months. Companies dream to get to that number. You know what I mean? And you did that. I could see how you became arrogant at that point because I probably would too. I'd be like, I just turned this into this and this. So that's
Hmm.
really cool. Um, I hate to hear that you start having the lows, and the divorce and everything like that. But from that, from life kicking you down, you was able to build back up,
Yeah. Uh,
correct?
I I realized that I could stay at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and I could take years to rebuild and go get a day job to pay back the debt, and I could mope around about the relationship breakdown, or I could live for today and live for tomorrow, um, and work out how to improve it. And I made that conscious choice that I I wanted something better for myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
So let's
that
talk rebuilding, because I think that's an area that I see with a lot of companies. People have these great ideas and they want to get out there and they do all of this stuff. And when you first get a company, you're so enthused and you're ready to go. But then life does happen. You do get kicked down, and there are things that happen that you don't expect. you were able to turn that around and learn from it and move forward. How or what do you recommend for people to get unstuck? Because people get there and they stay there. You didn't stay.
Uh, it's taking the emotion out of it, but
Mm,
then it's realizing, what do you want? Where is it that you want to get to? And are the actions that I'm taking right now going to get me there? And if the answer is no, how how much do I want this? How much do I want to get there?
mhm.
Or am I happy being comfortable in the pain that I'm feeling right now? So I wasn't comfortable with the pain that I was feeling. The pain was too much. So uh, I was like, this is where I want to get to. I don't like this pain. Let's make the change. But if you're comfortable being uncomfortable, not going to work for you. You've got to pull back the hood and be like, this is I don't like this level of discomfort. Let's set this goal and pull out all stops to make that change.
Right.
And get over yourself and realize that you can't be it's okay to ask others how they've got there. So look to see who else has done something that you want to do. Start spending time with them.
Mhm.
If you're the five closest people to you are only at your level, you're going to stay at that level. But if you want to get to that next level, you've got to start hanging out with those people.
Right. What I've noticed is that, and let me know if you think this too. What I've noticed is that people will start their businesses and be too, I don't know, want to say arrogant, but don't want to ask for help. Like you just said, you go to those people and you see people that's doing what you're doing, and you get in those circles. You start to learn, you get coached and different things. Why do you think people don't seek the proper help when they are at a situation or at a place where they don't know what else to do?
It's People don't like to lose face. They don't like there's a facade. Uh, uh, we see, and the media has got a lot to do with this. We only see the best side of people in the media, and we don't see that the pains or the issues that they're having behind the scenes.
Mhm.
And we're like, if these people can do it, why can't I? And what we have to realize is that the media publicity is not real life. That's just a story that's being spun uh, to make sales in something. So we've got to realize there's always two sides to the story.
Definitely. Okay, so your business was doing really good. So why did you decide to sell it and start Evolve to Grow?
I had got to the point where to go to the next level, I had to expand internationally, and I didn't necessarily want to take the business to the next level uh, and go internationally, because that would have meant a whole heap of extra financial risk on my half on my behalf, because of the amount of product that I would need to stock.
Mhm.
Uh, and when I got into the business, it was a relatively hard business to set up, because I had to find suppliers, and it wasn't easy to find suppliers. I had to go through uh, all different magazines, like trade show magazines, to find the suppliers. But
Mm.
when I was selling it, the internet had every single supplier online, so anyone could set up a business relatively easy. So there was a lot more competition, and taking that step back and the emotion out of it, the way to make the most money out of the business was to exit at that time and then set up something else.
Okay.
So, so uh, yes, basically there's too much competition, and I didn't want to put in extra money to get past that competition. So I
Okay.
thought, okay, I'll exit and make some money.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Definitely. You definitely got to know when to fold and when to hold and when to
That's
sell.
it.
So yeah, I
A-
understand completely.
And looking at it in hindsight, so when I started, there might have been 7 competitors. Let's say there's at least 100 competitors. now, and because of that, the margins are much slimmer.
Mm,
So if I was to sell the business now, it wouldn't be worth anywhere near as much.
mm. Okay. So when I introduced you as the original business Sherpa. I did not know what that meant. So I'm sure that some people might know and some people might not know. What is a business Sherpa?
So I'll use the example of what a Sherpa is. The Sherpa family are a group of people that will guide you up Mount Everest.
Mm,
So inexperienced people would, or people that haven't climbed Mount Everest before, it's not recommended that you climb Mount Everest by yourself. You get a guide and someone to keep you on the path and make sure you don't fall off. So I've taken that example and used it for business. Imagine your business goal is the top of Mount Everest. You want to get to the top of Mount Everest the easiest way possible without falling off the path. You want to stay on the path and get there as simply as possible. Hence the terminology business Sherpa. My business helps you achieve your business goals in a simple fashion.
okay. So that's what Evolve to Grow is.
Effectively, yeah. So we work with business owners to help them simplify their business and to achieve their goals without all the extra stress and pain of falling off the path because you didn't know you can do it another way.
Okay. So give me an example of what you do. So you help them with marketing, you help them with what?
So good question. I typically work with businesses, let's say I've got 5, 10, 15 staff,
Hmm.
uh, and they're stuck um, running the business by themselves. They don't, and they've got, and this is born out of the pains that I had. I wanted when I was running my previous business, I wanted someone to talk to and create strategy with and create a roadmap for me
Hmm.
because I didn't know how to do that. I couldn't find anyone. So effectively, I work with business owners that need someone at their level or above to create the strategy and direction for them and help guide them on how to implement it. Because so many business owners are just running a business like a day job and going day to day, week to week without any real clear direction, and they may not be being as efficient as they could be.
I understand that. Definitely. So when you say level up your business, your leadership, what does that mean?
Level up your business and your leadership. So it's about actually having a clear direction for where you're headed in business and
Hmm.
what the benefit of that is to you personally, why you're doing that at a personal level, but then communicating that with your team and getting your team to buy in on that direction and that your team actually understanding the benefit to them as well.
Okay, I understand that. I have a big question for you. How
Yeah.
important is it to maintain a work-life balance?
It's coming up all the time now. So uh back in the 70s and 80s, you would leave home, get to work at 8:30 and finish work at 5 p.m. and hopefully come home straight after that or go out, spend time with friends. And then the pressure started happening and people were working to 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. and had no work-life balance. And that's where the whole work-life balance thing came in. People working 12-hour days
Hmm.
and then being told to switch off. And business owners, staff are being unable to switch off. It's totally changed now that we've got the internet with COVID, all of that sort of stuff. And the fact that a lot of like we're passionate about what we do. So we might need to be working at 9 p.m. at night.
Hmm.
But work-life balance, new meaning of that is we've actually got to have passions or projects outside of work. Um, we've got to have, let's say we've got a business goal, we've got to also have a personal goal as well to have
Hmm.
that balance. Because if we're spending all of our energy in this area over here, and for some reason that doesn't 100% work, um, we're going to fall in a mental heap. So we need to have passions outside of a second or a third passion, so to allow us to maintain our emotional mental balance.
Makes sense. What do you feel is the value of time and freedom?
Value of time and freedom. So it relates back to that whole work-life balance thing. But time, at the end of the day, freedom gives us the opportunity to do what we want when we want. And time means we can go on holiday when we want. So uh, as a business owner, we want to be working towards allowing our team to create that work so we can pick and choose what we want to do when we want. And that then gives us that fulfillment that we're actually achieving something and that we
Mhm.
can spend time on giving back, for instance.
Okay. What do you feel is some blind spots in the business?
What blind spots? Okay, so if we're totally focused on, let's say, our skill set is marketing. So we're totally focused on marketing the business and growing the business. We might forget how, or we might not understand that we need to be looking at our finances to make sure that yes, we're marketing, getting lots of sales in, um, but because all of our energy is there, we're not looking at the fact that we're not necessarily profitable. So uh, just because we love spending time in marketing doesn't mean we shouldn't be spending time looking at the finances as well. So we've got to be continuously, as a business owner, as a leader, we've got to think about all the different facets of the business and devote energy to finances, for instance, even if we don't like doing that, to make sure that we're profitable all the time and each project is profitable.
And so your company, correct me if I'm wrong, helps businesses look at all of the different types of ways and things that they might not be looking into.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, marketing is good, sales are good, but if our people aren't happy, we're not going to have a business. So it's a it's about stepping back and actually maintaining and monitoring all the areas of the business to make sure they're all above par, rather than some being a 1 out of 10. They've all got to be 5 or 6 at a minimum, a 5 or 6 out of 10 kind of thing.
I understand. Why is setting goals so important in a business?
Because if we don't have something to head towards, it's just going to be the same day-to-day grind, and people aren't going to be connected with what we're doing.
Mhm.
So we need to have, for me, if we have goals and we're achieving those goals, we've got fulfillment, we're happy. If we don't have goals, it's just transactional.
Okay. So a company comes to you. So I'm a new company. I'm coming to you. Do I come to you with what all do I come to you with?
You say you've got a pain point. The pain point might be we're not making enough money,
Mhm,
or I'm working too hard, or our customers aren't happy. I'm like,
mhm,
or our staff, we've got issues with staff retention. I'm like, okay, cool. Do you know why you've got these issues? And often it's because we're spreading ourselves too thin, and we're trying to do too many things at once.
mhm.
So it's about basically creating less is more, trying to do less and in a structured fashion. So they come to me with these pain points. I'm like, okay, what do you actually want to achieve out of this? Why are you doing this? We identify why you're doing that, and then we refine the work that you're doing so you're doing less and it's easier to get to where you want to get to.
Mhm.
Because so many people are just, you might be running a sales business because you're told you need to run a sales business. But what's the real reason you're running this business? And what is it? The numbers. We get specific. What numbers do you want to actually achieve out of
Mhm.
this business?
Okay.
Other than just saying, I want to grow a massive business. Like that doesn't work.
Right. You got to have a specific goal in mind in order to
Correct.
be able to get to it, and your company helps you get to those levels.
That's it. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So, how can an entrepreneur develop good habits for themselves and their businesses, in your opinion?
Good one. Um, I've actually just gone through this. I Over the last couple of weeks, I've been feeling I've been working too many hours. I've been feeling a tiny bit burnt out, and I thought, "What's going on here?" And then I looked at my calendar, and I've been allowing people to book time in my calendar at times that they shouldn't have been booking times in my calendar. Um, and I was starting work early, finishing late. And I realized that I wasn't setting boundaries. I wasn't setting boundaries for my clients. I wasn't setting boundaries with my team. And I wasn't setting boundaries for myself. So by setting boundaries of what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable, you start to create better habits, and you're going to achieve more with those boundaries. So uh, set time in your calendar every Thursday morning. You're doing sales, and don't allow other things to creep into that time. And once you start having repeatability, it becomes a habit, and you actually start to see the results.
Makes sense. What type of clientele do you usually get, or are you looking for? Because every client isn't the right fit for me, and I'm
Correct.
sure it isn't the
Correct.
right fit for you.
Yeah. So I will target business to business service, business to businesses that are selling a service.
Mm,
So it might be a marketing agency. It might, because they're selling marketing to another business. It might be a graphic design agency. It might be a lawyer that acts on behalf of another lawyer. Oh, sorry,
mm,
on behalf of another business. Uh, I won't I won't work with businesses businesses that are selling low ticket items to a customer kind of thing, because that's not where my expertise lays.
okay. Okay. So COVID. COVID, of
Mhm.
course, hit a lot of people
Yeah,
negatively, but it also did for a lot of businesses help them. So how did your business sustain during COVID?
my business personally grew.
Hmm.
So people realized that they couldn't do it themselves. They needed support and guidance, and I was available for it. So I had previously set up my business that I had very minimal overheads, and at the end of the day, I can do everything remote. So I personally didn't have a negative impact, and I know I'm very lucky from a financial standpoint and a business delivery standpoint. I I was lucky.
Yeah.
We were able to grow our business, and I think it's because when I was setting up this business, I had in mind that I needed to be recession proof. I needed to be adaptable and versatile. And when something like COVID happened, I was. I had an office prior. I didn't need to have that office, so I let go of the office of the overheads because we're in Melbourne in Australia, the most locked down city in the world. So like we weren't allowed to leave our house for more than an hour a day for about 500 over 500 days,
Oh,
I think.
wow.
So yeah, like significant lockdowns. So uh, yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. What motivates you to get up and go for it every single day?
What motivates me? At the end of the day, it's seeing the smile on my toddler's face and being able to spend time with him. So, um, extrapolating that out, it's my clients being able to spend more time with their families,
Hmm.
and them actually being present in their relationships. So, it's for me, I want people to be present in their relationships and enjoy it and not actually have to be stressed out by what's happening in their business.
Definitely. To me, what it sounds like is evolve to grow really is that middleman that helps new companies and everything get to the next level of their business that is stuck and needs that extra
Yeah.
help.
Yep. Yeah. It's basically we work with you until you've got a board in place or the business doesn't need you on a daily basis.
Mm,
So
okay.
our goal is to remove you from being required in the business on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. So how can one, I wouldn't say book, but how can one contact you to work with you or possibly work with your company?
The easiest way is to just Google Tristan Wright or Evolve to Grow, and you'll find our website, which is evolvetoggrow.com.au, or you can send me an email, which is tristan@evolvetoggrow.com.au.
Okay. Well, Tristan, this has been fantastic learning about your business. I want to thank you so much for being a part of Transparency Talks podcast. And I think that, my audience is definitely going to be getting in contact with you because if you're trying to grow your business, evolve to grow is the way to go.
Thank you very much for having me. It was great chatting today.
No problem. And with that, everybody, we are out of here. So we will talk to you guys later.